So, Juan, this is Election Day. It is the last day of voting in the United States.
Yes, Amy, it is. And, it's at times like this, everyone has to take stock, even though clearly a vote is not the main determinant of social change in the country. And I know that many progressive and first-time voters have faced an excruciating dilemma this year. A choice between two unsatisfactory candidates, especially for those Americans who are outraged by our government's continued support for Israel's yearlong genocidal assault on Gaza and all the bombings and assassinations that Israel has conducted across the Middle East. So I guess it's understandable that many have refused to vote for either of the candidates or have chosen instead third-party candidates or just to sit it out. But this is not the first time Americans have faced such terrible choices. I recall back in 1968 when I was just in my early 20s and the country faced a choice between Republican Richard Nixon and the Democrat Hubert Humphrey. Another terrible war was raging in Vietnam that would eventually take 2 million lives of Vietnamese. There was war crimes being committed back then directly by the United States. So the use of napalm and Agent Orange and massive bombing of civilian areas in Vietnam. And at home, Nixon was using racial rhetoric about law and order, clearly directed at protests, massive protests by Black Americans, just as Trump today is using racist imagery against immigrants from Latin America, Africa, and the Caribbean. And Nixon was promising to end the war in Vietnam if he got elected. And so many of us refused to vote for in that election. And of course, Nixon prevailed, thus paving the way for the modern right-wing shift in U.S. domestic and foreign policy. Instead of ending the war, Nixon expanded it. He invaded Cambodia and Laos, and the killing continued in Southeast Asia for another 6 years. And it would take many years for some of us to realize we'd made a big mistake in sitting out that election. And I don't claim to judge what people are doing now, but I'm just would counsel those who still haven't made their decision that making these decisions at the time of election may be difficult, but sometimes necessary to do to open up the way for possible change in the future.
Well, we're going to look today at elections across the country, from House to Senate races to mis- and disinformation campaigns around the country, and the possibility of challenges to the entire certification process. Tonight, Democracy Now! Will be doing a 4-hour special at democracynow.org and on radio and television stations across the country from 8 Eastern Time to midnight. And we'll pick it up again at 8 in the morning Eastern Standard Time to 10 in the morning, an expanded 2-hour show tomorrow.